Welcome back, Golly Vibes family. I pray everybody's doing well. Hallelujah. If you are a faithful viewer, welcome back. If this is your first time here, welcome for the first time. Today's episode is going to be us jumping back into what we were in about a week ago. And the whole reason is CO just came out with a tweet. She's been gone for a good couple days. But in case you don't know who CO is, that's what we call Candace Owens. She's been gone for a couple days, but she just came out with a tweet out of nowhere. One of her first tweets that she tweeted. It's not even called tweet no more. It's X, right? What we call it? She came out with an X. We gonna say tweet. So she tweeted something that really caught my attention. And she said, "Don't worry about the gag order in the Charlie Kirk case. I plan to violate it on the world's behalf." Now, here we go. No, this ain't it yet. Well, let's keep going. "The things I've discovered this past week are enough to burn the house down." Here we go. This last thing she said caught my eye. She said, "Yes, Charlie was betrayed by everyone." Everyone. What are you implying, Zio? What is being implied here? By everyone? Not by some people, but some people. What's this supposed to mean? Not only that, but I was sent a clip from an individual where more information was gathered that really blew my mind. And I'm going to just let you watch the clip. And you can form your own opinions. And we'll speak about it together. Check out this video.
Guys, I can't even believe that this is real, but it is. And you need to watch this right now.
Wonder if anybody Googled the hospital where they took Charlie Kirk. They took him to Timpanogos Regional Hospital. That's there in the district. That's there in Utah. They have, I think, a campus in Orem, Utah. Psycho District of Columbia. Here's where, again, on September 10th, 11th, right there, you see the searches for Timpanogos Regional Hospital, people looking for where they took Charlie Kirk. But you'll see this spike of interest in Timpanogos Regional Hospital out of D.C., and then no interest for 2 solid months before the shooting. But again, keep in mind that July 20 anchor date. Here we have a July 16, 2025. And then we have a July 3, and we have a June 28. And if you go out 12 months, you'll notice you even had one back then, and then this all kind of goes out. So something's going on here at the Timpanogos Regional Hospital search. And then right the day before the shooting, somebody in the District of Columbia says, we should really make sure we know what the Timpanogos Regional Hospital is. Really should make sure we know the day before he gets shot. So you had that July 20 anchor date, the time around there. You had a time way back. That could be anything. And then the day before, somebody zeroes in and says, we need to look up Timpanogos Regional Hospital. Maybe they're looking up an address. Maybe they're looking up, who knows? After Timpanogos Regional Hospital, I thought, I wonder who the medical examiner is in Utah. I wonder who the medical examiner is in Utah. And so I wondered who the medical examiner was there in Utah. And I looked her up. She's a woman named Deidre Amaro. And she was looked up, at this time not in the District of Columbia, but in Israel, which I thought was very strange. June 30th of 2025. In Israel. June 30th, 2025, an IP address originating in Israel. Again, we talked last week about the ways IP addresses can end up somewhere. But Deidre Amaro, the medical examiner there in Utah, somebody with an IP address originating in Israel decided they were very interested in Deidre Amaro. And lest you think I didn't check, the reason I'm not showing you others, go to the District of Columbia, for example, not there. You can even go to Utah and see. Not there. So if it's not in the District of Columbia and it's not in Utah, this is not a very common search, is what I'm pointing out here. Not a very common search at all. But there it was in Israel. So I thought, that's weird. That's weird. So I press on.
Okay, so pause, because this is insane. This guy basically looked up the unique searches for Timpanogos Hospital, which is a real hospital, by the way, and the one that Charlie Kirk was taken to, and the medical examiner's name. And the unique searches that pulled up were from DC and Israel. The IP addresses were Israeli and from Washington, DC. And it's not like this is just searched all the time. Like he literally found these spikes when they were searched, and they were searched 2 months prior to when he was killed. Not to mention, someone also searched the hospital the day before he was assassinated.
Guys, come on. Come on. So individuals from DC and Israel searched this hospital. It was a spike in the searching for this specific hospital in July, and then a day before Charlie was assassinated. What needs to happen is a focus on who exactly searched it, because they're clearly a part of whatever happened. You see how it's coming down more and more, and it's just getting more and more narrowed on different individuals who may be a part of this. Guys, it's nothing but the Lord revealing, exposing. There's no such thing as coincidence. Whoever, I don't care who it is, spiked the search on that specific hospital in Utah in July. First of all, when was it said that Charlie was going to go to Utah? When was it decided? That's the question. When was the tour shown? And when did people know that he was going to go to Utah on that day? Or he was just going to go to Utah? That's the question.
Totally normal, right? Totally. But there's more, and this is even crazier. Watch this.
I was very curious that they'd spoken to the surgeon, but didn't give the surgeon's name. So I thought, who's the surgeon? Again, this is the surgeon who looked. This is the guy who said, hey, Charlie's made of steel. This bullet would have normally gone through almost anybody, but Charlie's made of steel. They didn't give the surgeon's name, so I go and I get a list of all the surgeons I can find at the Orem branch of Timpanogos Regional Hospital. And I think, could anyone have looked up any of these people? The first surgeon I could find was a guy named Stephen Nealman. Stephen Nealman. Remember that date, July 20? This is July 18th. This is July 18th. Stephen Nealman. July 18th, 2025. This was out of our friends on the other side of the planet over there. Very curious about the surgeons in Utah, you'll find out. I go to the next one I could find, Robert Patterson. I found a lot, so I added an MD to it. Robert Patterson, MD. July 23 and 24. This may have been the only one that was searched twice, 2 days in a row. July 23 and 24, Robert Patterson, MD. Again, I just find online a list of surgeons at Timpanogos. But I found the general surgeons, the emergency surgeons, all the people who minor surgery. I looked them all up. I go to the next one, Lee Trotter.
Why in the world do people in Israel want to know about a hospital in Utah? You tell me. Utah? Utah? Yo, shout out to my people in Utah, but I'm just saying, Utah? What's in Utah? What's in Utah? Somebody please help me here. Somebody give me some landmarks. Put it in the comments, because maybe I'm just oblivious to what's in Utah. And Utah, doesn't Utah have like nice caves? Like you can go hiking in this beautiful caves, and you go into the caves and you look around. Isn't that Utah? Or am I tripping? Is that Utah? Other than that, what's in Utah? I'm just saying, like, what's in Utah? Why are you way on the other side of the world? Why are you searching for a hospital at that in Utah? Not even different landmarks being searched. Like, not this over here. You searching for a hospital in Utah? Y'all ain't hearing me.
Has anyone looked up Lee Trotter? Again, notice the date. Notice the date. This is right in that July 20 area, that July 20 timeline. Someone with an IP address originating in Israel, looking up Surgeon Lee Trotter, near about that same July 20 time period. Are there other surgeons in the area? Yeah, as a matter of fact, there is. There's a guy named Lee Patterson. So I look up Lee Patterson. Notice the date, July 19th. Somebody with an IP address originating in Israel in the week of July 20, that week on either side of July 20, was very interested in all the people who practice surgery at Timpanogos Regional Hospital in Orem, Utah. There's more. By the way, there's a guy named Brian Gill, probably a very talented surgeon. July 22, IP address originating in Israel. What about Richard Rasmussen? I'm sure he's a fine surgeon, a nice guy, probably a pillar of the community. Also searched, July 14th, IP address originating in Israel. Richard Rasmussen. Again.
Yo. Come on now. Even some of y'all who be on the other side of the fence gotta hear this and be like, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
If I'm the state police, if I'm the FBI, I have real concerns that my surgeons are being searched within a very narrow time window, like 7 to 10 days of each other. And I want to know, is it the same IP address looking at all of them? Because I want to know who the hell is so curious about my surgeons in my local hospital. If I'm the FBI, I might ask, is this related to an assassination where they rushed the body there and there was a surgeon that declared Charlie Kirk a Superman and claimed he found the bullet and then signed the death certificate and there was no autopsy? And people may have been searching these surgeons?
Listen, the crazy part about it, too, is there was a closer hospital than the one that they took Charlie to. They purposely took him to that hospital. You understand that? Just in case some of y'all still sleep. There was a closer hospital, but they didn't go to that hospital. They purposely took him to that hospital.
So again, this man has uncovered the fact that there were unique searches in July for the exact hospital that Charlie Kirk was brought to after the assassination. There were also searches for the medical examiner at the time. But then he also searched all of the surgeons from the hospital who were also searched around the same time. And all of them came from IP addresses in Israel or DC. This is not something that, like, to me, this is not something that you can just explain, right? Why is someone so interested in Timpanogos Hospital, the medical examiner, and all of the surgeons from Israel and DC? What's this about? And why hasn't this been talked about more? So then what I did was, my mind was like, okay, what was going on right around that time when these things were being searched? And what I found was insane. Watch this. So the first thing I did was I took these dates that he mentioned in this, June 28th and 30th, July 3rd, July 16th, July 18th, 19, 20, 23, 24. And I plugged those dates in to Google and ChatGPT, basically just asking like what was happening with Charlie Kirk on those dates. I also searched in Twitter, I searched through Instagram, and I couldn't really find anything until July 23rd. And I thought it was really interesting what happened when I searched July 23rd, because I found that he did this, that he talked about this on his show. But see, the interesting thing is when you click on the video links, none of them exist anymore. They have all been scrubbed off these websites. So after basically turning nothing up on that, I just decided to Google, hey, what was Charlie doing in July of 2025? And this is what came up. And then I did the same thing.
Wait a minute.
What was Charlie doing in July of 2025? And this is what came up.
Let's read it. On July 15, 2025, Kirk conducted extensive interviews about Jeffrey Epstein on his podcast and pressured Trump's administration to release more information. By then, Kirk was one of the most prominent figures in the MAGA movement and often called the face of the movement.
And then I did the same thing with May of 2025. And what I found was really interesting. Now, I, of course, wanted to verify all of this, so this is what I found. Here's the video clip from July 2025, specifically the 15th. July 15th. Remember, the first date in July was July 16th that this unique search was found.
Here's what I think needs to happen immediately. The DOJ needs to move to unseal the grand jury testimony. I think that we need to see a press conference from the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, Kash Patel, and also Dan Bongino. And finally, we need to try to get to the bottom of something with the Ghislaine Maxwell, Alexander Acosta, figure out that whole intel question and get to the bottom of that.
And then just wanted to make sure that he was actually talking about what they say he was talking about in May. And I found this. Once again, I'm not telling you I know what happened. I'm telling you to look at all this information and, come to your own conclusions. But man, sure seems like there's something weird going on with Israel and DC. And it's been going on for a very long time, because if there are unique searches specifically in June and July.
God, there may be things cracked open that nobody ever thought of. Nobody was ever expecting. There may be things cracked open that are not supposed to be cracked open. But may the Lord do it so the people can come into full truth. You know, it's crazy because many people will come against different individuals like this, or even CEO, for just investigating. And my whole thing is like, let them investigate. What's wrong with that? Let them investigate. If they don't have facts and they're saying they're facts, that's something else. But they're investigating and you know, they're forming their own opinions about different things. I don't see what's wrong with that, especially when truth is just trying to be discovered. You know? So I appreciate different individuals like this who look into things like this in depth. That's crazy. I don't care what nobody says. I don't care what nobody says. To know that the hospital in Utah was being searched, and then it's just at specific days, and then it's just flat where nothing's going on, and then the day before the hospital was looked up again. That's mind-blowing. That screams connection. There's nothing else to say about that. The hospital was looked up the day prior to his assassination. And then we find out that they went to that hospital on purpose. That's connection, guys. That's what you calling. That could be used in court. You understand? Continue to pray for truth. Continue to pray for the Lord to reveal what's been hidden. Amen. Y'all remember when Candace was on Piers Morgan?
Do you think he's a war criminal?
Yes. I believe he's a war criminal. And I think that the issue is how much power he has, particularly in America. And I want to make sure that I'm crossing or I got
talking about Netanyahu.
Making that clear to people across the pond. You know, in America, we have lobbying. You guys don't have lobbying here. And so this is why it might seem...
We do, but not to the same degree.
Yes, like AIPAC spent $100 million in our elections. And what that means is that they're able to write fellowships, they're able to pay journalists, they're able to pay people to attack and take down people who speak against their initiatives. And they are... AIPAC, I would say, is very much pro-Likud party, pro-Bibi Netanyahu. And this is why you have seen people like me being attacked in the way that they have been attacked for what I believe is just a human stance on what's happening to the Palestinians. I don't care if you had flipped it, if it had not been Israelis, if it had been, you know, if it had been Christians doing this to Muslims, I would say the exact same thing based on the images that I've seen. But there is a ton of evidence that Bibi Netanyahu allowed October 7th to take place, including the things that we found out, because I now read Haaretz daily to
You don't actually think he knew it was going to happen?
Well, let's just talk about the facts. We don't have to speculate on that. What we do know is that they did intercept the hostage plan before it took place, right? The 250 hostages that came out in Haaretz media. We also know that Egypt gave them a warning that the attacks were going to take place. Egypt said that they were being ignored. That was a fact. I've been to Israel. Have you been to Israel? Mm. We know it's the size of New Jersey. We know that it takes 15 minutes to get from one end to the other. And we know that every 5 feet, there's a person in your face holding a gun. That attack went on for 2 hours without interruption. I find that hard to believe. And this gets to the, I guess you could say, the nucleus of the corruption trial against him, when now he's even arguing with the IDF minister who he fired, Yoav Gallant, am I saying his last name correctly? Where they're saying that some funny stuff happened on October 7th, and they are explicitly accusing him of feeding lies to the Western media. This is crucial. You know, and this could be the undoing of everything. If we find out that he had prior knowledge, and we do know for a fact that he said that he intentionally wanted to take over Palestinian territory, you should find that clip and play it on the show, because it's very significant when he asked the reporter to turn off the camera, and then he starts speaking about his plans for the Palestinians. This was years ago. I think Bibi Netanyahu is a monster, and I think the people that are still standing by him and supporting him, you know, I wouldn't want to have that on my conscience.
We heard that he told different soldiers to stand down prior to that attack. You know what would be interesting if truth just came out and showed that this individual was just fully corrupt. Not only that, but evil lies inside, unlike any other evil. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Then you can connect different things like a search date at Utah Hospital the day before Charlie's assassination, and the reason why different people from Hamas were allowed to get into Israel when any other time it's impossible. Just saying. Even Charlie said something about that. But may the Lord continue to reveal truth. Amen. Love you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. God bless. Shalom.